can only be one.
Hello do-it-yourselfers, I'm Gary from PA Hydroponics in York Springs, Pennsylvania. Today we're going to be putting together a cloning machine. This is the new X cloner that we have. The X cloner, the EX stands for external pump cloner. I haven't seen anybody else doing this, and it kind of made me wonder for many years, because that's one of the biggest problems with cloning machines is temperature. And having to pump inside the cloning machine, the pump heats up the water. So I decided to design something that took care of that problem, and this is the EX cloner. I hope you enjoy watching this. And when you order it, it's going to come in a brown box like this. So this is actually one of them. These are available on our website too, the do-it-yourself kit, and we have built kits. But pretty much it's, the most sites I could fit on the label is 27. But I know some of you want less than that, so I am going to have options for you. And of course, if you want to build this from other parts, that's cool. I hope this gives you some ideas at least to be able to do your own thing. Alright, got some stuffing in here. This is neoprenes and neoprene collars to hold them in. Got your tubing to build the waterfall. I mean, I'm so used to saying that. To build the aeroponic manifold for this. And then you have your sticker, EX cloner. So when you get this, you'll have a sheet with all your parts listed on it. And we'll go check everything before we ship it. Pretty much comes with 5 3/4 inch elbows, 1 3/4 inch T, and then 8 of these sprayers. These are 3 60-degree misters, and then 2 3/4 inch drain bulkheads. One's going to go to the pump, and then one's going to run into the machine to go through the sprayer system. 250 gallon per hour pump seems to work fine on this. I built the first one of these like a year ago and tested it thoroughly. We also custom had these made for us. These are their clone collars that hold the neoprenes in, which are pretty cool. These are the EX clone collars. So this has a little lock that locks on the lid. You can use these on other things too, so I'm sure people will be calling us trying to get these ordered by themselves, and eventually they'll be on the website. But anyway, you'll get 27 of these, 27 of the neoprenes. Cloning machines in general, it's kind of mind-boggling when you really think about it, because like in all the books, if you're starting seeds, you want a heat mat to help the roots grow better. But in a cloning machine, you don't want heat, because then your bacteria ends up messing up the whole machine. So yeah, I would say that's an argument, and I've even read some threads online about it. But we're going to build this to run cooler than everything else. Tools we need on this one. Got a measuring tape, got a ruler, deburr tool or a knife, something to clean up your edges around your holes that you drill. Sharpie marker, silver, shows up good on the black. I'm actually going to probably use black on this one on the lid so that I don't see a bunch of silver everywhere. Tubing cutters, this one's got a pretty good bit of a tubing to cut. These, if you don't have these, some heavy duty scissors will get you through. Hole saws, we have a 1 7/8. The neoprenes themselves, I think these are advertised as 2 inch, but they're really only 1 3/4 inch. So, and I designed these so that the bottom edge bevels in a little bit so that these can't fall through, and that's the whole point of this. I've seen other cleaning companies that do cheap cleaners where they just drill the hole in the lid and have the exact size for these. But if one of these things falls out or something, you're going to just get sprayed out of there all day long when you're not home. So this is, in my opinion, the way to go. The pump hole and the manifold hole will be 1 1/4 inch hole saw. So 1 7/8, 1 1/4, and that should do it for the tools you need to get this one done. The do-it-yourself kit, to me it's pretty easy to build these, and if you watch this whole video you'll probably be able to build it no problem yourself. If you want me to build them for you, there will be a drilling fee, especially if I have to drill all these holes in the lid. So T-square also. Big fan of the T-square. So pretty much we're going to have the pump down in the bottom, and it's going to shoot up the side and then shoot in the side here, and that's going to power your manifold. So from the bottom, the 250 pump is 1 5/8 inch up. So I'm going to find my center hole up in the top of the bucket here by looking at these little ribs underneath. So that's my center. Then I use a T-square. You can use a tape measure on this too, it works just fine. So that's going to be the pump hole. And then the manifold is going to lay up on the top of this rim right here. That's going to keep it from falling through and into the bucket. So I need to drill really close up to this rim here. But I want to be able to make sure I can get this in from the back side. So it's going to be just above this. And that looks to be 12.5 inches up. So on my T-square, I marked my T-square 12.5 inches. And that will be for my center pilot hole of my hole saw. I'm going to clean up the holes with the deburr tool here. That gets all the rough edges off. I'm going to test my holes here and make sure we're good. Yep. You don't want them too loose, but depending on the brand of drill bit you get, hole saws vary a little bit. Even when they say 2 inch, some of them are like 1 7/8 or over 2 inch. So maybe test on a piece of cardboard or something before you even start drilling through a 25-hour bucket. Alright, so that is it for the 1 1/4 inch bit. This is the Active Aqua brand pumps, which I'm a big fan of. This might cost you an extra $5 versus some cheap pumps, but these seem to hold up really well. We sell tons of them. When you get them, they're set up to be submersed, but you just pull this cover off. This little thing, this little dial here is actually to choke off your water. If you have it submersed, you can slow it down, speed it up. So we don't need that for this. We're going to take that off. This is an air intake for the pump too. This will actually shoot air up with the water through the manifold. On the cleaning machine you could try that. It's up to you. The instructions are in the instruction booklet for that. I don't think it's necessary. I haven't used it myself. And so it comes with 2 3/4 inch bits and a 1/2 inch. We're going to use both of the 3/4. And then it's got some O-rings here. So we're going to put the gray one on the gray one, and the red one on the black one, which I guess it doesn't really matter, but... Alright, so we'll do gray one on the inside the front here. This will turn the pump into an inline pump. So don't over tighten this, because I've seen the collars of the pump split before, and that goes for a lot of brands of pumps. Some people try to wrench these on here. It's not necessary. Just snug them up good. Alright, so that's going to be like that. On these bulkhead drain fittings, check behind where the rubber gasket seats and make sure you don't have a lip there. Because I've seen the lip when some batches come in. This one's not real bad, but I just rub them down with my fingernail a little bit. But if the lip's sticking way up, pretty much it can make a little bend in your rubber washer, makes a little bridge, and the water just comes right out and leaks out through the threads. So keep an eye on that. I've had lots of brands of these, and even with the problems with these are still the best brand that I've seen. This is the Hydroflow brand. Alright, so the pump is ready to be put on. And now for the top manifold section of this. This part's above the, going to be above the water level, so you should not have to really worry about it leaking at all. I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick rub down here with my fingernail. You can use a razor blade on this too. I've seen some people who've called and said they use a nail file, fingernail file. Alright. I'm going to go get some hot water to soak the tubing in, because we're going to be doing some tube cutting here. Alright, tubing cutting time. I'm done with my drills for the moment. So for the pump to here, we want to get it as close as possible. Looks to be about 2.5 inches. Then we're going to need an elbow up here going down to the pump. This should also be 2.5 inches. And that is to connect that to that. The hot water helps expand the tubing, and then when it cools down it kind of shrinks up and helps it seal up a lot better. I recommend it to everybody. Alright, so now going up to your top, 8.5 inches from the pump up. With the soft tubing, if you're off 1/8 of an inch, it's not going to matter at all. It's not like the hard piping. Alright, so that's your main manifold pump setup there. Alright, so for the manifold itself, we're going to build a rectangle inside of this bucket, and it's going to rest on this rim right here, and that's going to keep it up on top and not falling through. I don't know other kinds of bins and buckets out there, this may not work, but you can probably improvise and make legs for your manifold. And try to give you guys all these measurements so you don't have to figure it out yourself. I have them all written down, but I'm going to just kind of show you how I figured it out. So there, the elbows are going to be in the corners there. So I'm going to say about 13 inches on that one end, the long side there. Then we're going to have the short side here. So I'm going to do that about 10.5 inches on those. It's better to make them just a little bit longer if you're not sure. need 2 of them, 1 for each side. Alright, so this is one of our back side of the reservoir here. The bend in the tube to my advantage. So we're pretty much just building a big rectangle here. But once I get done doing this, you'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Alright, so I think the 10.5-inch lengths will be a hair long. Here. Yeah, I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch off of those. So those are going to be 10-inch on the sides. So we're going to have this on this middle of this side, and that's going to face out the cleaner to your pump. So this one here is 13 inches. This is 3/4 inches wide. So 2 6-inch pieces should be fine. I have a little measuring tape on my table here. Comes in handy. Alright, that should be it on the manifold here. If you make your tubing too short or too long, you can trim it if it's too long. If it's too short, you can simply just slide them out on these fittings a little bit so you can get it expanded a little bit. I don't like how this back side is sitting, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that down a hair. And you'll probably have to do this too. Just make some fine adjustments here. So I took about a 1/2 inch off of that one, which I think was 13 inches. So yeah, we're at 12.5 inches now on that back side. Alright, looks like it works just fine. So now we need a piece of tubing that's going to go in here and sit on the back side of these bulkheads. So pretty much a little piece of tubing is going to fit into the back side of here. Alright, so I pretty much shoved that in the back side of the fitting here. So we need to cut it off right about there. So that is 2 inches on that piece. So it's going to look something like that. And then this is going to fit in here. Now for the sprayers. I did 8 spray heads with this. So a lot of people talk about spray heads like you don't have to have a beam of water shooting at your stem. This whole thing is just a rainforest in there. It's dripping down, it's misting everything everywhere. The more spray heads you have, the less pressure they're going to have because you're dividing the water up in even more. So we're going to do 8. And for this we're going to need a 1/8 inch drill bit. I think I forgot to mention that earlier in our parts here. Alright, so when you're drilling through this, it's going to leave these little shards of plastic. So I like to drill through and then stop the drill and pull out, so it kind of pulls the plastic out with it. So we're going to have kind of 2 there, 2 there, 2 on each side. Something like that. Don't drill all the way through your hose. I've also taken an air compressor to these things too to try to blow out any of the debris in there. If you've used cloning machines before, you know these little tips need to be taken off and cleaned. You can poke them with a paper clip. And on this one, if one tip gets clogged, you have 7 more. And it will run fine. Clothing's been a hard subject for me in the store. My whole life I've never had a problem cloning. I've cloned in just water, I've cloned in just dirt. Never had a problem. But a lot of people have gotten a hold of me or called and had all kinds of problems with cloning machines. I think it was Easy Clone, that company. I talked to them about the problems, and they coined the phrase sick manifold syndrome, where they pretty much did studies and found that there's a certain bacteria that can grow inside of these manifolds. They grow, it's like a bacteria that grows in the dark, and that bacteria inhibits root growth. So once you get that going on in your machine, you may think everything's perfect, but you just don't ever get roots. I like cloning machines for hydroponics a lot. Cloning in general is a great idea, because if you have a plant that you love, it's going to make a copy of it, and you won't have to worry about hunting down phenotypes or buying more seeds or getting seeds that aren't the same. You'll always have the same exact plant for the most part. Alright, so that is the manifold. And pretty much this just wedges in here. It's that simple. You can take that out and clean it, and it won't fall down through. And like I said, other buckets that don't have that rim around the edge, you can improvise something if you're going to try to build something like this with other stuff. But yeah, that is the external pump. The hard part about building this for me is the lid. When I first built the first one, I was like, I'm going to cram as many of these on here as I can, and I did. And it was 27. And I'm stuck with that. If you don't need 27, it's still nice to have some extras. If you don't need 27, you could also skip spots in between the plants. Or you can order this kit with less sites. If you want to build your own with less sites, I would just order this kit anyway and just keep all your extra neoprenes and collars, because they'll get dirty and worn out and you're going to have to get them ordered anyway. This is definitely the most time consuming part of the build, is drawing all your circles on the lid. Alright, so I got 9 down there. Getting these spaced out perfectly. Takes a little bit of time, but once you get it done, you'll have them. And they won't be spaced out perfectly unless you're some kind of engineer genius. I have a little bit of OCD myself, but I'm not going to sit here and worry about it. It looks pretty darn close. And if you order this with me to build it for you, I have a template for this that I go around and put the little dots on. And they still won't be perfect, so if you want it perfect, go order from a company that sells these things. That is all your circles drawn. Pretty much gives me something to aim for with the drill. If you already have cloning machines at home that you bought from us, we used to use the 2-inch net baskets. The 2-inch net basket, and this is another do-it-yourself at home, they're kind of beveled down, so they'll keep these from falling down through. And you can just go cut your net basket off down here, so that way you can get your roots out when you go to transplant this. But that is another way to do it too, is using 2-inch net baskets. But our little cloning collars here are awesome. I love them. And they use a 1 7/8 inch hole saw bit, which is this one here. You can drill backwards too. I know every time I don't do that, people get on my case about it. Try not to lock your lid on the bucket either. If you push down hard, it's going to be hard to get off. Drill one backwards, see what happens. Oh. So backwards on this hole saw, I actually unscrewed my hole saw from the shank there. So those lock right in. If you want to drill in your bucket, you can also put a little piece of cardboard on the rim. Like when we ship these out with lids on them, they always put a little piece of cardboard so it doesn't actually get your lid stuck on there. These holes, if you deburr them too much, then your collars are not going to clamp onto them. So I'm just going to do a really light cleanup here of the holes. Get some of the rough edges off, but I'm not going to go crazy with it. Alright, again, done this one. Alright, so now you can go stick your collars on. Gotta give a shout out to Tom on this one. I told him my idea for these collars, and he definitely did a great job helping me get these made. I had a couple different ways to get them to stay in, and he came up with these little nubs on the side, which were perfect. Thank you, Tom. Alright, so they're in, and they're in. Like, they don't come out. You can pull them out, but once they're snapped in, the cloning machine is not going to blow them out while you're going. Neoprenes. I like these soft ones. They're real nice. And as you saw, we have used big stems in these and not had a problem. I've got this personally down to 17 minutes, but you all get to hear me talk half the time, so it slows everything down for these videos, but I have to explain it to you. There's a method to my madness, so as you say, I think it's pretty easy to build, but a lot of people tell me I make things look easy. Definitely clean this out before you use it. Alright, that is it, folks. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I am going to do a video on cloning machines, what to put in them, how to pH them, how to take your cuttings. So look for that video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I do appreciate you watching. And I'm Gary from PA Hydroponics, York Springs, Pennsylvania. Take care.
You have one old message. Old message. Tuesday, 3:23 p.m.
Hi, Gary. It's Jimmy. Old school in Seattle. Old school in, yes, please. Old school in, old school in Seattle. Stir panic. Want the rocks drill, yes, please. Yes, please. Want the rocks drill, yes, please. Yes, please.
Nothing like the smell of hydro in the morning. Get me out of here.
Get me out of
There
here.
can only be one.
There can only be one.
There can only be one.